Hello all, Darren here. Thank you for joining me. Lovely to have you. If you'd like to see more unexplained and strange disappearances, stay tuned for daily uploads. Now then, on to the video. In 1974, 14-year-old Margaret Ellen Fox vanishes on her way to a babysitting job. The employer's number turns out to be for a payphone. Audio of a ransom call is released decades later. Margaret's disappearance remains unsolved. "14-year-old Margaret Ellen Fox vanished en route to meet a stranger on June 24, 1974 in New Jersey. She hoped to make some money during her summer break and had taken out an ad in a local newspaper, together with her cousin Lynn the previous week. Babysitters experience, teen girls, love kids, work at your house, call. Lynn was quickly contacted by a man who wanted her to babysit for him in Mount Holly, but her mum turned him down, not wanting her 11-year-old to work out of town. He then called Margaret, who got permission from her dad to take the job. The man called himself John Marshall and said he would pay her $40 a week to watch his 5-year-old son for a few hours on weekdays, starting on Friday, June 21st. She was to take the bus to Mount Holly, about 8 miles from her home on Penn Street in Burlington, just a few doors down from Lynn, where either he or his wife would pick her up in a red Volkswagen. He called again and told Margaret's dad, who answered the phone that time, that he had to reschedule due to the death of his mother-in-law. Judging by the man's voice, her dad thought he was around 35 to 45 years old. Margaret's trip to Mount Holly was postponed until Monday, June 24th. He never gave his address. So on the 24th, one of her brothers accompanied her to a nearby bus stop where at 8:40 a.m. she boarded a bus to Mount Holly. He was the last family member to see her. She stepped off the bus at around 9 a.m. on Washington Street, just steps away from the corner of High and Mill Streets where she and Marshall were supposed to meet. A witness saw her talking to a young man in a red sports car. He was later cleared of suspicion, and Margaret was thought to have mistaken him for Marshall. Margaret had been told to call home as soon as she arrived at Marshall's place, but the call never came. When she failed to return home at around 2:30 p.m. like expected, she was supposed to get a ride back from either Marshall or his wife. Her parents became seriously worried. Her mum called the number the man had provided and reached a payphone outside of an A&P supermarket in Lumberton, about a mile south of Washington Street. She proceeded to call various John Marshalls in the area, and her husband searched for Margaret in Mount Holly. They reported her missing around 12:30 a.m. on June 25th. The assistant manager of the A&P grocery store where the payphone was located was named Marshall, either Jack or John, or maybe both, since Jack is a common nickname for John. Either way, he passed a polygraph and had an alibi. Coincidentally, Margaret's sister-in-law knew him and was friends with one of his daughters. A lot of women reported being accosted by a man in a red Volkswagen. A man driving a car matching that description had attempted to pick up a girl in Mount Holly in May. A sketch was released in August. A sex offender who had owned a red Volkswagen at the time and lived close to where Margaret was last seen was questioned and cleared 4 years later. Though his alibi doesn't seem super solid to me. He was a ham radio operator and, according to the logbook he kept, had been on the radio with someone when Margaret arrived in Mount Holly. Turns out I'm full of it, and that's actually about as good an alibi as one could hope to have at that time. Carry on. He was ruled out along with 12 other persons of interest. A number of leads were pursued that amounted to nothing, and the investigation dead-ended. It certainly didn't benefit from the rivalry and lack of cooperation between the different agencies involved in the case. On June 28th, 4 days after Margaret's disappearance and 1 day after it was first reported in the press, her mother received a bizarre call from an unknown man who said, $10,000 might be a lot of bread, but your daughter's life is the buttered topping. The audio was released only recently after the FBI managed to enhance the quality of the recording. The following day, a letter arrived repeating what the caller had said and instructing the parents to put the money in a box with blue wrapping, same as Margaret's blouse. The sender claimed that Margaret is all right. We only tore her blouse and broke her glasses. Follow the instructions. The color of Margaret's blouse had been reported. She appears to have had her glasses with her, but as far as I can tell, that wasn't mentioned in the press. Nor was she wearing glasses in the pictures that were released. Latent fingerprints were lifted off the letter, but didn't match any of the military members, federal employees, and thousands of offenders whose prints were on file with the Burlington County Jail, Prosecutor's Office, and Mount Holly Police. As of 2017, the prints apparently couldn't be located. Margaret's dental records also went missing at some point. Her parents quickly withdrew the money but received no instructions on how to deliver it, and 2 days later, on June 30th, a second letter arrived that said, at least in part, $10,000 was a lot of bread, but your daughter's life was the buttered topping. Note the past tense. According to the FBI, the letter indicated that the ransom exchange was off because the parents had goofed in making the arrangements. It ended with "so long again," and the S, L, and A were highlighted. SLA were the initials of the Symbionese Liberation Army, a terrorist organization famous for kidnapping Patty Hearst earlier that same year. They were not known to be active in New Jersey, but were in the news around the time of Margaret's disappearance. It was never determined if the call and the letters were legitimate or a hoax. Thank you for watching. Feel free to give this video a like if you enjoyed it. I'll see you soon, and remember, stay vigilant and stay safe.